Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the PlotCast. I'm your host, Nate Slater.
And I'm Chris Sambrook, and today we're talking about subscription gaming. Is it worth it?
Well, folks, I think it's safe to say at this point that the console war is officially over. GameStop announced it. So we're kind of moving into a new era. Not really moving into it because we've been into it for a while, but really, I
It's the new
believe,
focus.
yeah, 2026 from then on is really going to be the next kind of iteration of gaming. And it's definitely going to be almost strictly subscription based, less physical media and such. So Chris brought up something interesting the other day, talking about PlayStation kind of removing its PlayStation Plus benefits from PS4. And with that, I'll give the floor to Chris.
Yeah, so one of the biggest benefits ever since PlayStation Plus started, and obviously there is Game Pass, and we will touch on Game Pass too. But specifically for this, one of the biggest early benefits to getting PlayStation Plus, besides the whole online play, which at first wasn't even required back on PS3, but it was the free PlayStation games. And part of the problem with that is you have to pay for it. So, I mean, is it really free? That's been a constant problem that I've had with the so-called free games, is that they've never officially been free. Even as they added new and more uh, features to PlayStation Plus, whenever they create something, they increase the price, and then they started doing the tiers, and you have to have a whole new higher tier just to get free games. So you pay more to have free games. Again, you're not getting free games. You're paying for games that are handpicked for you. Um, but you don't always want the games, or you already own the games, which is
Yes.
an issue I keep having. Uh, and then I end up with just indie games that are low Metacritic scores, and I don't play. Sometimes I don't even add them to my library. What's the point? And it's just becoming more and more of an issue where and I feel like there's a fatigue with subscriptions. It goes beyond just gaming. We've got Netflix and a billion other services out there that, we used to have cable. It covered everything.
And
And now it feels like we're paying for individual channels
yep.
more and more and more. But back to gaming, gaming took a page out of the playbook, right? And
Yep.
they're subscription based now, almost exclusively, unless you're on PC. Although you do have EA's, there's Ubisoft has their own subscription thing going on. So there is other stuff, and of course there's singular games that have subscriptions,
Yeah.
most notably World of Warcraft and so on. But specifically, that we're going to be focusing on is the services,
Yes.
that provide games,
Yeah.
that are supposed to be giving you more benefits for less money. And it seems like they're causing more problems to the gaming industry, and to us, the gamers, than is even worth it.
Yeah. And to be clear, we're really talking about the big two right now, which is Xbox Game Pass and PlayStation Plus. But Nintendo really isn't even
Yeah,
in this whole kind of game right now.
Nintendo's is very lackluster.
Yeah.
You get the ability to play people online, and you'll get a free DLC every once in a while, some
Yeah.
small thing. It's very lackluster.
Nintendo is very known for not giving anything.
Yeah,
Not
you
even a
want
cent.
something for free? Too bad, you ain't getting
Yes. Hey, and you
it.
try and remake a game that you really want remade, don't worry, we'll sue you.
Yeah, exactly.
They don't like
Um,
anybody.
they really don't. They like to sue people. That is something they really like. Um, but yeah, so when it comes to PlayStation, that is something we both have.
Yes.
We both subscribe to PlayStation Plus. We're at different tiers,
Yep.
for different reasons. And then, neither of us have Game Pass. I have had Game Pass, and I'll touch on that story
Yep.
at one point. Um, but yeah, it's definitely something that has as time has gone by, either we've lost features, there's just too many price hikes, there's a lower quality of games. There's a lot of issues that are really pushing people right now. So the
Yeah.
first, I just want to kind of go over the tiers that we have.
Okay.
I'll start with Xbox Game Pass.
Okay.
So they have their essential tier. It's 9.99 a month. That is their basic. It provides access to a curated library of 50 plus games on console and PC. Includes online console multiplayer and cloud gaming. It does not include releases on day one. And then
Okay.
you jump up to their next tier, which is the premium. That's 14.99 a month. It offers access to over 200 games on console and PC, includes new Xbox published games within 1 year of launch, provides online console multiplayer and cloud gaming, includes in game benefits and rewards. And then finally, their third tier, Ultimate, is 29.99 a month. And I will state that that is the most out of any of the subscriptions, period. It includes everything in premium, plus new releases on day one, access to over 400 games on console and PC, includes Play and Ubisoft Plus classics, and provides all console and cloud gaming benefits. Which sounds great. You know,
Yeah.
there's a lot of general things on there that I love, especially the cloud gaming from the very beginning in the earlier essential plan. Uh, but I know a lot of people have been complaining about the price hike recently. Um, People are complaining about the quality of games with Microsoft owning a lot of the gaming industry at this point. They should be spitting them out.
Yes.
And I think part of the problem is that they are spitting them out, but they're spitting them out at such low quality, people don't consider them games. You know, people really want those AAA games coming out. And I mean, obviously, PlayStation, especially with their exclusives, has been more successful at that. Um, I did get Xbox Game Pass. I used my free month when they released Starfield so that I could play Starfield. And I did not renew because I just wasn't satisfied. I mean, that was the biggest uh, you know, AAA release. It was, exclusive to Xbox and PC. I really wanted to play it. I've been a huge fan of Bethesda, and honestly, I didn't care for it. And I know things have changed. I know that it's got updates, but just from the day one, uh, just playing it when it was released, it kind of sucked. It was boring.
Now, from what I've kind of heard through the grapevine, I'm not sure how much of it's true, but I heard that Microsoft is abandoning story-driven games and trying to go strictly for
Residual income, the
yeah, the
revolving
more
income.
yeah, more the games themselves, subscriptions in a way, loot boxes kind of thing. They want the stuff that's just gonna continuously generate money as opposed
Yeah.
to what
It they
Sony's offering.
want yeah, they want the Fortnite effect.
Yes.
You know, Fortnite makes, I think, like $3 billion in profit every year, and, it works because Fortnite is Fortnite. It was the first to really do what it does and do it successfully,
Yep.
um, and they've been able to follow people, trends and stuff like that to keep people interested. That's definitely an issue that Bungie has had, especially recently with the Destiny franchise. I've stopped playing Destiny. It felt like a job. I had to go on, do a whole bunch of stuff. I'm paying to have a job, is what it felt like.
Yeah.
Um, they threw too much stuff in and kept changing the way things were done. Nothing was entertaining anymore, and that's just the issue that we've been running into. So with Bungie trying to emulate what Fortnite does, they are just running into the same dead end a lot of these live service games have done. WB games went all out and that failed. Then they went and did the Suicide Squad game. That failed. There's a lot of games that are trying to emulate the same, idea because it's not because they want to make a great game. And that's the big problem, is that they're just trying to make a money machine.
Yep.
They
Which is
just want to
kinda
print
what
money.
EA did.
Yep, EA did it. I mean, EA has been successful at certain things. They've got the sports things
Well, what
that
I was
they like
mainly
to
getting
use.
at was the whole Star Wars Battlefront 2
Oh,
debacle
yes, yes, the
with the loot
Battlefront,
crates
yeah.
and the
And
backlash.
that was, yeah, straight gambling.
Mhm.
And again, it's all about making more money and providing less.
Yep.
That's kind of what they've always done, and that's been the issue recently with the subscription gaming, is that they cut benefits and raise the price. And they claim it's so that they can give you more. It's so that we can increase the quality of the games, increase the number of the games. Sure, but we've heard this before and it did not change. And that's the problem, is as we keep getting price hikes, we keep losing our trust in these companies. The same thing goes for Sony. So if you want to cover the Sony
Yeah.
tiers,
So first, I do wanna say the thing that kinda sucks about this whole thing is that at any point in time, these "free games," quote unquote, that we have can just disappear from our libraries at any moment. So that's the biggest downfall to this whole thing is that we're renting these things even if we pay for them on the console. I have games that I bought on Vita because they're PS1 classics and I can never get them back again. And I was like, "Oh, I really want to play that game. What happened?" I guess they lost the licensing rights or whatever to it, which sucks. But anyway, Xbox's Ultimate tier actually sounds pretty good. For the price, I mean, it's probably not too bad, but let's get into
well,
PlayStation.
PlayStation does also offer the Ubisoft Plus Classics in
All right.
their final tier. I know I've used it a little. Um, EA Play, I believe, is additional price. It is not included.
All right. Well, PlayStation, like Xbox, also has a essential tier. But like just before I even get into this, the whole PlayStation Plus in general started I think Xbox did have a pass at one point, and then that was when PlayStation first brought out the PS3 and they didn't have a subscription service, which was great. You just got online for free and played with your friends, which was awesome, which was the benefit to having a PS3 over an Xbox 360 at the time. You're not paying for any services other than your console and your games, which was great.
Right. And the internet.
And the internet. And the best part, if you had the original PS3, you could play PS1, 2, 3 games, and Blu-rays and DVDs and CDs. You had the total package, which, yes, the PS3 cost a shit ton, but it was almost worth it, at least at initial launch. And then going kind of into the whole how we kind of get the PlayStation Plus. Yes, it
Well, yeah,
was
we had EA restricting access to online games. Or it wasn't just EA, but EA was kind of the monster that kept charging people.
yeah. And the other downfall that I think kinda led to PlayStation starting its, making you pay for PS Plus when you, got to PS4 was if you guys don't remember when PlayStation got hacked
Oh,
and
the add-on hacks.
yeah, and it was down for, like, 2.5 weeks, so PlayStation's like, "Well, we had a bunch of people mad at us. Let's give out free games to appease the people."
I think a big problem that a lot of people had, which is a continuous issue that we have currently, is that a lot of people already had the games. They weren't
Yeah.
exactly brand new games.
Yeah, and, like, I remember the games come out, there's a few games there that were given that I was like, "I will never play them." There's one that I think you had that you said it was really good. It was the one with Sackboy, what was it, Little Big
Oh, Little
Planet?
Big Planet. Yeah,
And
that
that
wasn't
that
too
that
bad.
that game to me just didn't catch my eye. I wasn't I'm not that type of gamer, I guess, but it was given to me for free, still never played it, but I'm pretty sure it doesn't even exist anymore for me to actually download and play it. But that's kinda like how I believe this whole being charged, at least as far as PlayStation is concerned originally, because now they have to recoup all this money they lost. How are they gonna do it? They're gonna do what Xbox did. They're gonna start charging for their services, which didn't cost them anything before, but they saw what Xbox was doing. They probably, felt the hurt from those 2.5 weeks of being down and people being mad at them and giving out free games. So here we are now with PlayStation Plus Essential. Originally, when the PS4 came out, yeah, I think you only had to pay, what was it, 5.99 a month or 4.99 a month,
Something.
I think it was. And then I think it eventually, evolved into what we have today, which
I
is,
mean, don't get me wrong, I understand inflation is a thing, and
yeah,
yes, prices have inflated, especially since then. But in the digital market, when you're charging for something that you used to give for free because it didn't cost you anything to maintain, then it's all really just profit. And I understand now that they have expenses like licensing
yeah,
because of the services they provide. It's still it's mostly profit for them.
yeah. And now going into pricing, like I said, PlayStation Plus has their own essential plan, which is also 9.99 a month, which includes online multiplayer, access to online multiplayer for most games, most mostly games, download a selection of PS4 and PS5 games each month, which I believe starting next year, no more PS4 games. So that whole PS4 thing is gone.
Yeah, so that affects mostly the PS4 players, which is
Yes,
kind of the I believe the biggest portion of players. And I understand the intent is to get people to drive over
to the
to the
PS5.
PS5,
Yeah.
but if it was me, if I did not already own a PS5, I'd be so mad I'd just switch over to
Yeah.
Xbox.
And still you are mad. So,
I'm still pretty mad. Yeah,
yeah. But at least you at this point you kind of have your solution, which is PS5. So, but still I understand the frustration, especially for people out there that are maybe our kids that can only get a PS4 for the time being, and that's all they have. But going back to the essential program, it also comes with cloud storage, cloud save storage for your game progress, and exclusive discounts on certain games and add-ons. That's all that the essential gives you for 9.99 a month.
I
Which,
and here's a problem that I'm seeing too. What
okay,
is the point of the cloud save uh storage? Because it used to be that when you switch over to another console, you just transfer it over that way. But now with PlayStation 5, you're only allowed to have one. Because you used to have what, three on PS3? You could have three PS3s assigned to you, your account.
well, no, the
Um,
cloud storage is mainly referring to like your game saves. So you put the
yeah,
game
but you could
saves up
save it
there
on
and
the
download.
console. It takes so little that it means nothing.
I mean, it does mean a lot when you don't buy the extra storage. Me being one of those people, um, yeah, I should get more storage, but yeah, everybody here knows we're in tough times. So every little amount of extra space counts, and it's
Especially if you play Call of Duty.
yes, which is duty. But for 9.99 a month, that's what I pay for. I pay for the essential, and that's all I need. I don't need anything else because I don't I used to be a huge, huge gamer. You can ask Chris here, folks. That's all I
Yeah,
do day in and day out. And now it's just
platinums
kinda
left
be
or
like
right.
now I'm just kinda like, eh. I'm more casual as as far as, gaming goes. I don't really play as much as I used to. Life's short, folks. In fact, anything you can take away from this whole video is get out and touch some grass. Moving on to PS Plus Extra, which is 14.99 a month, which is the same as the premium for Xbox, which this includes all benefits of Essential, but then you also get the game catalog, which is access to a large catalog of downloadable PS4, PS5 games. Once again, those PS4 games probably going to be gone by the time you get to 2026. So, how large is that catalog and what games are they? I don't know because I don't have that and it does not tell you.
It is pretty large. It's not like crazy. I want to say maybe 1 to 200 games.
Okay.
A lot of them are, just the classic games, the
Okay.
games that most people are striving for. There are quite a few crap games, but there's very few AAA games that you would continuously like if you wanted to buy right now. That's not really going to be available unless it's a Sony production.
Okay. Which kind of also, in a way, is another problem because a lot of these games, like if it's going to be strictly PS5 games, it also ties into the whole remake problem, repackaging old games for you to rebuy all over again because now they're on the newest hardware. So that is kind of, I guess, any of these consoles work around to pushing out the old ones to block the access and then grabbing the most successful ones and then repackaging them again for you to buy again, whether it be digitally or physically. So that is kind of an issue there. But now we're moving on to, in my opinion, the biggest difference, at least in price for the time being, which is PS Plus Premium, which is $17.99 a month as compared to Xbox's $29.99 a month. Which this includes all the benefits of Essential and Extra, but you also get the Classics catalog, a catalog of classic games from PS1, PS2, PSP, and PS3 for download and streaming, which sounds great. But my issue is, why don't we have our systems to where they can just take an old disc and put it in the system and it works like PS2 and 3 did? I mean, granted, maybe that emulator costs them an extra 20, $30 to put into the system, but I know a lot of people that would pay that extra money just for that. But then again, you know, if you bought the game once, they want you to buy it again. So the next thing that they have is the game trials. You have time limited trials for certain new games, not
Yeah, and
all.
it's always just 1 hour,
Yeah.
which, I mean, for a lot of people is not enough time, especially if you're playing a, Metal Gear game, then you don't even get to play. It's that's all opening. Any JRPG, any story-related games, you're gonna have very minimal gameplay.
Yeah, the whole thing is to get you hooked and to buy the actual game. This whole thing is about more money for the company and less
And
money for
yeah,
you.
here's a little tip for people who do use the trials.
Yes.
Look up the walkthroughs, the let's plays that YouTubers put up. Watch the opening so you can skip the cutscenes and actually get to the gameplay. That
That's
way
actually smart.
you're not wasting your time, you know, the limited time that you do have, and jump right into the game if you really want to check out the gameplay.
That's a good tip. Thanks, Chris. And then finally, we have cloud streaming, which stream classic and some PS4, PS5 games. Once again, well, I mean, the streaming will probably stay for the PS4. Let's be honest there.
Yeah,
So that
so
will probably stick around.
I will say that the only reason that I get the premium tier is for the cloud streaming. And it's very upsetting knowing that Xbox gets it for $10, the lowest tier. And I have to pay the higher tier amount just to stream some games. Can't even stream all games. And at a certain point, it can be removed. And suddenly I can't stream that game anymore. And I do it because of the limited storage space. And I do have additional storage, but typically only really works for PS4 games. So PS5 games typically have to go directly on the hardware, and there's very limited space. So when new games come out, I typically stream them if it's available for streaming. Um, Most of the time it is. They do kind of focus on new games having the streaming capability, which is great, especially if it's like online multiplayer. You can just get right into it without having to worry about constant updates.
Okay.
Uh, but there's again limits, it's down to your internet, which, most online multiplayer games are. But if you're playing a single player game and you just don't have the space to download it, even a single player game can be stressful if your internet connection is going crazy.
Especially with like timing events and stuff like that. That's gotta suck.
Exactly. Especially with games that autosave. You could completely mess up and there's no way to go back.
Yeah, that does suck. I mean, I do think after reading both of these, for the prices that they're asking, at least for the premium, they're actually not that bad. I mean, 17.99 for what you're getting isn't bad, and 30 bucks for what you're getting there isn't bad. Now, if PlayStation bumped theirs to the same price as Xbox, they would definitely have to add more of what Xbox
Yeah.
has. They would
So,
definitely have to do that to compete.
what it comes down to next is really quality.
Yeah.
and I would argue that the quality has dropped significantly, um, and obviously the prices have gone up,
Yep.
which, I think that the very basic tier on both of them is too expensive. 9.99 just basically to play online.
Yeah.
Um, I would say it's more acceptable for Game Pass because they also allow cloud gaming right off the bat.
Yeah.
That's fantastic. However, with PlayStation, it's just not worth it. Xbox definitely seems more worth it with the price, being that it has the cloud gaming. PlayStation definitely doesn't. It's just basic access, something they gave it to us for free before, and it has just slowly increased over time. It doesn't feel worth it. Uh, but when it comes to certain services, you know, they're discontinuing PS4 games. Okay, you
Yeah.
have an entire in fact, I would say probably over 50% of PlayStation Plus users only have PS4.
Correct.
That being said, though, it's not just PlayStation that is having these issues. I know that Game Pass, in general, people have been complaining that there's been a general lack of quality in the games that are being released. Um, how often they get actually good releases. I mean, I know PlayStation, a lot of people have been complaining too about how many indie games they've been getting. And that the AAA games that we do get are so far past that most people have already purchased it.
Yeah. And that's the big
Those that
issue.
were even yeah, those that were even interested in it have it. Those that aren't interested in it still won't even download it when they get, is offered for free. It also affects the developers for these games
Yeah.
because you release something like that, and I think even Microsoft has stated that the games that they make for Game Pass specifically, when it's released for the first year, um, there are very low sales for those
Yep.
games, and that affects the developers. Microsoft can skate on that, and they're like, well, it's bringing in money through the subscription. But the developers, they're not getting the value of that game, of what it
Yeah.
was worth, through sales. So they just get the minor amount of money that they were offered from the start just to release it into the cloud void. Um, and the same thing goes for PlayStation. I mean,
Yep.
it may be great for the indie games. Oh, maybe not. I mean, some
Yeah.
of these indie games are really good and they do get recognized. But maybe, this helps them get recognized, sure. But at the same time, there was a lot of indie successes previously that weren't. I mean, look at Expedition 33.
Yeah.
That's a relatively indie title. I know that they have a much bigger budget than most,
Yeah.
um, but they just shot up, and their success would have been muted if they were you know, a subscription-based free-to-play game as a result. They wouldn't have felt the success, they wouldn't have received the money that they would have gotten, that they
Yeah.
did get. So, that's just proof that, going through these systems isn't the best. Um, and the fact that, again, it's a story-based game as opposed to all these developers canceling the story-based games and taking the option to just go into these online multiplayers or, live service games that most people are tired of. Like, it's nice to have, sure. But remember the days when you bought a game, you bought it for the story, and then you were like, "Oh wow, it has an online multiplayer. I'll play that.
Yeah.
I'll play the game first, but then I'll play it."
Yeah.
Now people completely ignore the stories
Story.
and jump straight to the multiplayer to get the edge on other people.
Call of Duty.
Exactly. I can't even tell you. I think Modern Warfare, the remade Modern Warfare 2, was the last game that I played the story for.
Okay.
And I did get the more recent Black Ops 6. Have not touched the story mode. I know number 7 is coming out and people are dogging it, and I'm
Yeah.
sure it's right. I'm sure they're right
I
because
mean,
they have dropped significantly. They
yeah.
were known as the realistic shooter. Um, Now they're known as the knockoff Fortnite.
Yeah.
So, I mean, was it worth it? Probably not.
I mean, at the end of the day, really realistically, these subscription services are really just for the companies that are putting them out, mainly Microsoft and PlayStation, to where they get all the money, the publishers don't. So, I mean, it's kind of shady, but if you're a game publisher and you want to get your game out there, if you're not putting it out on disc, you are essentially going to go through the whole subscription service and lose some money that way. And that's how,
And don't get me wrong, there are positives as just as much as there are negatives.
yeah,
For gaming companies that don't have a good startup, maybe that's great. Maybe that is exactly what they needed to get their game out. But there's also another option. And unfortunately, it's only available to PC players. But Steam is the only company so far that I have seen that has not been trying really hard to take advantage of players.
true.
They, yes, they offer connection to Microsoft. They offer connection to PlayStation, but they're not creating their own subscription base.
True.
And they do have their own gaming systems. While yes, it is handheld and it is, very very expensive. It is quality.
Yeah.
Um, unless you got the very first Steam handhelds, which did have some issues, they have worked really hard to make sure that they've corrected them. It's yeah, you're not going to be, driving a Mario Kart like game like this like you can with the Switch, but who cares?
Yeah.
I still would prefer to, be able to set my game down and not worry about them, going crazy. Um changing position or something like that. That's kind of the problem with the motion control is that you don't always have control over what's going on. Uh, picture someone on the bus trying to play a game and there's someone next to them, and in order to do something, you have to hit them with your freaking switch. It's the whole point of having a handheld is so that you can travel with it,
Yes.
but it's kind of pointless if the way that you make it forces you to do things that don't work with your surroundings. So, Steam has definitely um, modernized gaming. They've modernized how we purchase games. They've been very fair. In fact, more than fair. Anyone who does use Steam knows their sales are legendary.
Yes.
Um, PlayStation now offers some of their games through Steam. Um, and obviously, Xbox has been doing it for quite some time. Steam, I think, is the future since the console wars are over. I think that people are going to be very fatigued with subscriptions, not just for gaming. Again, we have, what we got? Hulu, Disney, Netflix, Paramount, Apple, the list goes on. Why pay for a billion freaking things when back in the day we used to have cable that did it all for you under one price? Again, it all comes back to why is things worse now than they used to be? The same goes for gaming. Eventually, people are going to be so fatigued by it, they're going to start canceling. These companies are going to start losing money, and it in some cases it's happened already.
Yes.
Um, Especially with the price hikes. Every time there's a price hike, they're going to see a drop in customers.
Yep.
Eventually, people come back because there's nothing else that they can really go to. But eventually, it's going to get to a point where it's not sustainable. Between developers making shoddy games because they're not going to get the money out of it that they want, and then customers not wanting to pay for shoddy free games, it all is going to come back full circle.
Yeah.
And who's going to be standing after all of it? Valve with Steam.
Or somebody else who comes along and
Yeah,
does something different.
exactly. Exactly. I mean, Xbox and Sony are so geared on fighting each other that they don't focus on what they're doing and why they're doing it.
Yep. I mean, like I said, if PlayStation were to up their price to Xbox's price, they would definitely have to include what Xbox gives, like I mentioned to you, maybe even add in their whole catalog of their films and TV kind of stuff, but that's a different topic. Uh, really, what this is, I think, with the next console, at least for PlayStation, uh, for sure they are going to stick around with their story-based games, which is great. That's why I love PlayStation over any other gaming company out there. As of right now, I'm sticking with them. Call me what you will, but fanboy, whatnot. I
Oh, you
go to
silly
what
little fanboy,
yeah,
you.
yeah. I go to what gives me joy. So with that said, PlayStation, I really hope you're listening, and Xbox. I hope you're listening to us and you hear, the gripes we have. One thing, like I said, I would really love for the PS6. Let us have backwards capabilities for all the
Oh,
systems. It
how would
won't
they be
happen.
able to sell you the same game you've had purchased from 1, 2, 3, 4, and now
That
5?
I
They
would
wanna sell it to you on 6.
that they're just gonna have to do with what they did with The Last of Us Part One. Graphically overhaul it. I will buy it. I've bought every type of version there is.
Yeah, Dead Space, again, was one of those games that they did that, and it was totally worth buying. Although I will say it did fall into the problem again where it was free on PlayStation Plus, free, you
Yep.
still have to pay for it. Um, but, most people had al who people who wanted it already had it.
Yep. True.
But yes, again, I did pay for a game I already owned, that I
Yep.
just didn't wanna get the PS3 out for.
That's why a good happy medium, Sony, give us what we want. Let the console, the next console, PS6, whatever you're gonna call it, of course it's gonna be PS6. Let us have our disc backward capability if we want it. At least put the damn backwards capabilities in it. So if we want to go back to our nostalgia, we can have it. And with that, I think I've pretty much spoke my piece. I know you've spoke your piece, correct?
Yeah, I mean, there's so much more to say, but it goes well beyond gaming as well, so we'll save that for another time.
Yeah.
Subscription gaming, is it worth it? Is it going to fall? Is it going to crash? Let us know in the comments.
And with the console war officially being at an end, begun the subscription war has. We are Plot Hole Productions, and you have been listening to the Plotcast or watching us. We are on both Spotify and YouTube. We also have an Instagram. Check us out there. And if you haven't, like and subscribe to keep up to date on all things Plot Hole Productions. Once again, I'm your host, Nate Slater.
And I'm Chris Sambrook, and we'll catch you in the
In the
void.
void.